right, mic check, mic check. Just about situated. Just like that. We are live. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Whether you're watching this live, watching this back, I appreciate you very much. Just getting dialed in here, back to business as usual, back to being zen on GameStop, right? I mean, that's just me. Of course, you can do whatever you want at the end of the day, but I feel pretty calm and just it is what it is, right? There's always going to be the hype dates, right? Usually, trust me, bro, 1 week later. So that was a lie. And that's the way she goes in terms of hype dates, right? So I tweeted out a couple times today in a couple various ways, and got a million posts pulled up here to go through today. But no dates, no dates, no dates, no dates to make it any more clear, just in case it wasn't, right? Once again, I'd like to remind long-term GameStop shareholders, no dates, no dates, right? Of course, it's fine to trade and speculate in the short term. That's fun if you see it that way, or you can do whatever you want, but you shouldn't put money on call options with certain expiries, right? Because the unfortunate reality of it is that those dates don't ever, almost never tend to work out. And Sharon, hello, thanks for being here. D, what up? Thanks for being here because I can. Hope you're doing well. Hasib Hamid, thanks for being here. Bags in, let's go. Yes, sir. Mike, what's up? What's up? Welcome back. I like dates, but also no dates. That's all right. Listen, for me, it's like I just know. I mean, I don't know, right? Because nobody truly knows, but I just know that more often than not, it's not gonna be a certain date that this big thing happens, and then it's like predetermined. So with that being the case, like I just really try and turn my brain off from it. And to me, the best thing you can do is sell options if you want to mess with options any which way on GameStop, and you could sell them into hype dates. Someone I think said this in a reply to one of my tweets, and in general, you could sell options because of the high volatility on GameStop. Of course, make sure you're aware of what you're doing if you're going to go that route. And I've been talking about that a little bit lately because it's something I'm starting to get started on. And for a long time, I've just invested. And now, what I'm doing in terms of selling options, I'm just starting with GameStop, just selling a couple puts, but in doing that, I'm doing it with separate money for my long-term investment. I'm not putting anything that has to do with my long-term investment of shares involved with that account. It's a completely separate account for active trading, right? And then I just picked up a share of Broadcom. Nothing crazy. I mean, literally one, right? Just to dabble in it, but it's like the Nancy Pelosi indicator is just too strong. And then also looking into the company and what they do and the big acquisition they just made recently, I see the perspective, and I think there's some money to be made on a trade here. And I'm dabbling in it, and I've mostly just invested for a long time, but I'm feeling ready to put a small account together, just dabble in trading, where I'm not going to lose sleep at night if it doesn't work out, but where I see some kind of momentum, or in the case of GameStop, taking advantage of the high volatility. Although I really don't want to get exercised in selling those puts, because then if I do get exercised, then I have to have the shares, and then I have to debate, do I want to sell a covered call, which very risky with GameStop because you can miss out on a lot of upside. But on that particular account, I'm thinking to specifically just sell options, and most ideally just continue to sell puts, because then you just keep selling them below, 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 and then you can just keep collecting premium, earn the money market interest as well. But again, just some of my most recent thoughts. And I got a million different things to pull up here. So first, I like to start with a meme. That's what I'm trying to build a theme of the stream. Trust me, bro, 1 week later. So that was a lie. And that's the way it always goes, right? That's the way it always seems to go. And GME chart, rebound a little bit today after a sharp drop off at the end of last week. But if you saw here, I have max pain pulled up. So for this week right now, it's at 25.50. Sure enough, that's right around where the stock's at currently. So it could go up a little more. Not to say it's a guarantee it closes at max pain. But last week, right here, right on this day, when it was approaching $30, did it briefly touch? I don't think it technically did. Nope. Yeah, and honestly, guys, I really barely touch like Yahoo Finance, or just tracking, not touch, but pay attention to what the exact stock price is of GameStop throughout the day. Especially for me, the second half of the day gets so busy for me. That's why you usually see posts kind of queued up in the morning. But the second half of the day just gets so busy for me, and that's why I'm like not on X as much, but that's just the nature of work, right? And do the streams at night, do as much as I can in the morning, and whatever happens in between happens, right? So that's why I don't always get like the exact intraday high. Or sometimes I look, I'm like, oh, GameStop is moving all of a sudden. But point being, Max Payne at this point in time was $25. Sure enough, where did we close last week? Just a couple pennies below $25. We closed at, was it like 96? 24.96, something like that, 24.95. And sorry, my laptop's just turning on. It was like stuck updating, but yeah, so that's just food for thought there. I mean, of course, not always going to fall at Max Payne, but we've seen it a lot of times, especially with hyped up dates where GameStop stock price closes at max pain. And if you're not familiar with max pain, it's basically the maximum pain for option buyers, meaning if GameStop closes at 25.50, the most options will expire in the money for that particular expiry. So that means the option sellers mostly were in the money, or most of the options are out of the money, so most of the sellers made out well. And generally speaking, institutions and market makers sell a lot of options because selling options on a large scale, right? Not so you can't make money buying options. And again, know thyself with all this stuff, but selling options on a large scale, like there's a lot of premium to be collected, and more often than not, more of them are going to close out of the money. So with that, you get to keep the premium. But the individual has the option to sell a put or sell a call by having either the cash secured underneath for a put, cash secured put, or 100 shares secured in a covered call situation. But market makers, right, because they're making the markets, they don't need the underlying cash, they don't need the underlying shares. So they'll go buy them later if they need them for the particular trade, right? And that's where people talk about gamma ramps and things to that effect. But the state we're in right now with GameStop, I could see it going sideways this week and closing at 25.50. But and someone who's selling puts right now, I'm okay with that because the put is still out of the money. And if it trades sideways, theta kicks in and the option price falls, which means it's getting more and more profitable for me as the seller. And again, know thyself with all that, but I'm just trying to I'm looking at it as play the game because institutions are playing the game, so I'm going to play the game too. And also, I feel like I really grasp the idea fully of understanding what it means to sell options, so I really wanted to have that down before I started dabbling in that. So keep you guys posted on how that goes. But at the same time, I want to be transparent and posting, not post exactly my trade, but just talk about the trades I do in different positions. And I just realized I never tweeted out the stream. But the thing is, I don't ever want a situation where people are copying what I do, but I don't think I'm doing anything that extraordinary right now where people are going to be like, oh yeah, Tetron did it, make the play. But I just really think it's important to make your own decisions and never blindly follow myself or any other individual out there, because you need to make it on your own in this world. And then also, just you don't know when someone's going to be right and someone's going to be wrong, and you really want to, in my opinion, have full accountability of if you're making a trade, okay, this worked out great, I ultimately chose to do this, not oh yeah, I followed someone and they told me, oh, I love them so much, or then the vice versa happens, the trade doesn't work. Oh, they're such an idiot, I can't believe listening to this person, right? You want to be fully accountable, so you really want to research anything before you make any kind of move. So yeah, now where's my laptop charger? Let's just get that settled in here. Get this tweeted out. Trust me. Kamala. Oh my goodness. Biggest bull flag in history. Biggest breakout to come. WM. It certainly could be the case. I mean, listen, look at this weekly chart. Just finally broke out, and we've held up ever since. And also keep in mind, 2 rounds of dilution were completed in here to raise a ton of cash, over $3 billion, maybe roughly $3 billion. $4 billion in cash on the balance sheet, almost $10 in cash per share. So right now it's trading at about 2.5x the cash per share, right? So do you think GM could be profitable from the core business this year aside from the interest income? Summer, that's a great question. So for the core business, I would really like it to be. So I see what you're saying. Can it be operationally profitable? I think it could be if we pull up the charts here that I have. So zoom in. Whoa. So in order for that to happen, right, this is revenue and net income, and then net margin. They really, need to improve their margins a little bit more. And I'm hoping with things like CandyCon in place, and then also bringing me to a quick side point here, CandyCon and PSA cards, maybe they can turn a profit. If not, I think interest income is definitely going to get them net profitable. But operationally, I think they're so close. But you have to make a few more tweaks, and really, what their product mix is going to determine that. So they can sell a lot of CandyCon, which, by the way, if you guys didn't see, I actually just bought a CandyCon controller. It's long overdue. So I was like, all right, you know what? It's time. I got to do it. So we did that. That's on the way right now. I got the purple faceplate, and then blue, and then orange. Or sorry, the blue thumbsticks, and yeah, blue thumbsticks, and then orange D-pad, or vice versa. Right? Yeah, I think that's what I did. Right? I would check back on my order, but let's see. Here it is. Right here. Yep. Yeah, orange thumbsticks, blue D-pad. So on the way, then also picked up a card, Justin Herbert, PSA 9. $22 seemed like a good deal. Whenever I buy a card, I try and look at the prices of other cards, and I'm just getting back into collecting them. So I got a few right now. I've had this Aaron Judge one for a long time because there's a while back. See, I bought this one on was it March 1st, 2020? Yeah, so like literally right before the pandemic hit, kind of crazy. But that's when I was first dabbling in these, and then I sold them throughout like late 2020 into 2021, really mostly into 2021 when things were kind of hyped up. And then I got CJ Stroud, PSA 9, and Justin Jefferson, PSA 9, both from GameStop. So with that, oh yeah, we got to tweet out the stream. We got to tweet out the stream. Live now. Talking GameStop, Ethereum, ETF, and much more. Guess we'll put GME. Whoa, okay. Just getting situated, but I should have did this before. Honestly, guys, tough Monday. Tough Monday. Like, work just annoying. Put it to you that way. And life, and I mean, everything's fine, right? Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but just I feel like I'm not 100% on the stream. But okay, cool. So we got that out now. And then I do want to just quickly change the name here. Talking is up stock because the Ethereum ETF is about to launch. And if you guys saw it, I'm going to get into that a little bit later. All right, so we're situated. And what's to come with GameStop in the short term? I couldn't tell you. I want to be perfectly clear. I do not know. But this is odd. The GME strike prices of 120 are still pouring in. What's going on? Someone posted. So a lot of puts on GameStop at the 120 price. So just the fact there's all this action on these like way out of the money options is very strange. And especially if it's a put, that means it's actually very deep in the money because obviously it's way below 120 at this time. But there's some speculation or, theorization, I guess I should say, that there's failure to delivers can be satisfied through options that are sold, right? To basically satisfy the failure to deliver. But that's a whole conversation itself. Oh, and one quick thing I did want to touch on since I was talking about CandyCon. So I don't know if you saw, CandyCon launched a couple Transformers remotes, and then they launched this, an Epic Mickey faceplate for CandyCon, as well as the game combo. And I think you might get something in game. I could be wrong here, but yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't know where I thought I saw that. But essentially what I'm saying here is I want to see GameStop do more things similar to this. I want them to do more partnership based merchandise like GameStop exclusives. I think that's something very positive for them. And then if it could be a situation where they have in-game prizes or in-game items that you get for purchasing like a specific bundle from GameStop, that could be really good. And I want to see them, and just plug it in my laptop, I want to see them do more things similar to this, right? And then beyond that, I want to see them do more private label stuff. Beyond CandyCon, I want them to launch other private label brands, and then ultimately see them make an acquisition of some kind one day. But not rush, right? Just when the opportunity is right, then make the big move. But if it's not, take your time. let it be, and then just keep improving on these small things, and that can in turn get them to be consistently operationally profitable. And then being consistently operationally profitable, they collect their interest income at the same time, they keep stacking up the balance sheet, and then they can go make an acquisition and stack up the balance sheet in terms of cash and potentially other assets. And then they could start buying potentially an acquisition, a buyout. They can buy a piece of a company, invest in some kind of startup gaming studio, start a gaming studio with other partners, right? Maybe do something to that effect, right? But another thought I'm wondering is, or just that's something like an idea that's been bouncing around my mind a little bit, is with the PSA cards, right? So I was just showing you guys here how I bought Justin Herbert. I have a few right now, right? It seems like they're selling pretty well, and I feel like they're coming and going a decent amount on the online store. Does that necessarily mean all of them are selling? No, but they are generally higher price items, and generally speaking, collectibles for GameStop, they do make a pretty favorable margin on that. So could this get their revenue back on track to at least be even? So revenue, if like it seems likely it's going to fall in Q2 if it did in Q1. And then also historically speaking, Q2 is pretty weak for GameStop because Q1 is December, January, or I'm sorry, February, March, April, and then Q2, which is by the way about to end, May, June, July. So July is almost done, so Q2 is almost done for GameStop. So could their revenue be in line from last year? I feel like it's going to be tough, to be honest, if Q1 looked the way it did. But I feel like the PSA cards and CandyCon a little bit, because CandyCon launched like at the very end of Q1, if I remember correctly. So those two factors could help revenue hold up a little bit better. But I'm not going to say that's definitely going to happen. But really, what I want to see is net income profitability, and then, as mentioned in the chat, operationally profitable. So if I showed you like GameStop's investors relations, GameStop investor relations on the most recent report. All right, give me the 10Q, or I guess I could just put earnings where we were. So down here we have the net sales and then cost of sales. So this is how much it costs for the merchandise they're selling. We're giving them their gross profit, and then you minus all their overhead, SG&A. That gives you the net profit, and that's operating profit. And then once you take into account the operating profit, you add in the interest income right here, and then you get your loss before income taxes, and then they had an income tax benefit, so they get to add that back in. But the income tax benefit is usually very minor. As you can see last year, this year was a little bit more impactful. But point being, this number being profitable would be really nice to see, because then I really think they can think a lot more about doing an acquisition. But at this point, if they haven't made a big move, I feel like it's just a situation where they're going to wait for the right moment to make a big play. And in the right moment, they're going to be looking at the macroeconomic factors and the valuation of the company, how they can integrate it, all the different aspects, right? And then something I think that's not really said too much is that how do we know that there wasn't some deal on the table that GameStop maybe almost closed at, whether it be like last year prior to raising cash or more recently, or they're in talks right now, like nobody truly knows. But it's possible they couldn't come to terms on a deal. Like, if it was a situation where it's like, okay, well, yeah, we're willing to sell at this price, but GameStop's like, no, well, we need to get down here in terms of the price. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for us. It doesn't line up with our logistics where it's gonna be worth our while. So it's always possible there's a situation like that. I can't say for sure, but what I can say for sure is the stock's gonna be volatile. There's gonna be more ups, gonna be more downs, more dates, more stories, more trust me, bro, right? So just be ready for everything and anything and everything. And I really think that's the best way to approach the GameStop saga, because there's just so many ups and downs and opinions thrown around all the time. And just every time, too, you think, oh, yeah, like, I think I got this aspect of the story figured out. Like, something totally out of left field just comes, and you're like, what? I didn't see this coming, right? Or every time someone thinks they have the cycles figured out, what do you know? Dip. Good news, believe it or not, dip. Bad news, believe it or not, dip. Right, and then we have some interesting posts from Susan Trimbath on here, which I'm going to get to in a second. Just want to hit the chat. Let's see. Whoop. Live chat. Okay, do you think Gmail can be profitable? Or we went through that. So do you think most people still in GameStop are FOMO and don't want to take losses? Dean, I think that's a fair question. I think it started with some FOMO in terms of people wanting to catch a big move. But I feel like at this point, anybody who's gotten FOMO and doesn't believe in the company itself and just isn't willing to wait for the long term to see how it plays out has kind of left at this point. So I feel like maybe a little bit started with that, but a lot of people have evolved, right? Of course, I can't speak for everyone, just my general assumption looking at everything. I feel like a lot of people have evolved to really look at it as an investment and not a trade. And again, not everyone's the same. But with that being the case, I feel like it's not so much FOMO at this point. It's like people know what they have and understand where the situation's at currently, and just the average GameStop investor in 2021 versus the average GameStop investor in 2024, I feel like is significantly more educated on markets, that like the functionality of the markets, what a balance sheet is, how to read a company's earnings report, what interest rates are, just general economic stuff that a lot of people who were became invested in GameStop didn't necessarily pay attention to before or weren't as familiar. Well, I've always been interested in stocks, and I went to school for finance and business and economics. All that's always interested me because my grandpa's working on Wall Street and told me about it. And since I was 16, I told you this before, I started like dabbling in all this stuff. I used to trade crap coins on the 2018 bull run of Bitcoin. So that was my time with shitcoins and like BitConnect days. I don't know if anyone remembers that, like just messing with that stuff. So I was able to make my dumb mistakes early and then be knowledgeable in the way I am now. And of course, I'm no genius, right? And where I'm going with this is that even though I learned a lot from 2016, because I'm 16, I'm 24, but in 2016 I was 16. So with my birthday, it's easy. It's like whatever year it is, minus 2000, that's my age because I was born in exactly 2000, right? So in 2016, I was 16. I was making dumb decisions, but I learned a lot from 16 to 21. So I had 5 years. By the time I was 21 years old, I technically had 5 years experience in the market. Not like, oh, I've made these plays or like I've done all this crazy stuff, but more like, okay, I've done all the dumb stuff already and made all the silly mistakes before I had any real money to play with. Like the money I was using at the time was literally money I made snow shoveling, maybe some birthday money. I put like a small portion of it in to just miscellaneous stocks. I'd try and trade, figure out these strategies. Oh, I'm gonna figure out how to trade with the MACD indicator. Like all these different things I tried, right? And while I learned a lot up until 2021, I feel like I've learned so much more in the past 3 years from 2021 to 2024. And I really feel like I know myself now and how I want to go about things and just my approach and just to be very patient and understand. Like, if you see something go up and you're like, damn, I was going to buy it, or oh, I was going to do this, but it didn't work. Like, you can't get too stuck on that. Like, you can't think, like, oh, like, when the price is, let's say, like right here, if you're like, oh, I was gonna sell, then buy back in down here, right? Or over here, you're like, you bought a, you're like, oh, I'm gonna sell a cash secured put for the end of the week because I know it's going higher. If you beat yourself up like that, then you start chasing, like, all right, well, I'm just gonna do the next week because I missed that one, but I think it's gonna keep going. My thesis is right. Like, you have to realize the market's constantly evolving and changing, so it's okay to look, okay, I would have been right there, but let me be patient for the next opportunity. Let me not go chasing that play. I hope that makes sense, right? I mean, it's not always that simple, but just keep learning is what I'm trying to say. And I feel like the average person involved in GameStop has that mindset, and that's not a mindset a lot of people have, right? And that goes beyond stocks. And I think also an underrated part is how individuals who start investing in GameStop really start to understand money and how to be frugal and just how to better manage their wealth and the meaning behind like managing your wealth and growing your whether it's a portfolio, a savings account, your investment in GameStop, your investment in Bitcoin, your investment in S&P, or a collection of things, right? However you're going about it. It's just people started to realize, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't buy lunch every day. Maybe I shouldn't get Starbucks on the way to work every single day. And obviously, everyone's story is different, right? It's not that simple, but I feel like a lot of people have learned a lot of things about themselves by focusing on something and then going beyond that scope, or I don't know how I want to put this, but just like starting with, okay, I want to know everything about GameStop and everything about investing in GameStop, then to learning about how to read financial statements, and then, okay, well, what's going on in terms of how the markets function? Okay, well, how do macroeconomic things such as interest rates impact my investment? And people just build and build and build out, and then realize, oh, well, now I know how to be frugal. Now I can explain general macroeconomic information. Now I can understand what a price to earnings ratio is, price to sales ratio, what it means when a stock is trading in a certain pattern, a certain indicator, right? All these different things, like different people have learned, and certain people specialize in things. You know, they say there's like, oh, this guy's a meme guy, oh, this guy's a big TA guy, or this person is a, you could say for me, like a big long-term investor guy, right? And quick side note, I'm looking at this chart, I'm talking, rambling away here. Couldn't go over $30, right? Isn't that weird? This stock is so weird like that. Like this time, exactly 67.50. When you look at the pre-market that day, its high was at exactly 80. And then we look at this chart right here. Again, the high, or when I zoomed out, like the high on this chart, exactly 48. Like it just seems like algorithms. It just seems like algorithms, and it is. It is, right? But that's the way it goes. Let's see. I have GameStop making 200 million a year next year from the net income from the cash, not correct. Business at enterprise value about 5 billion. GameStop will be trading at a 20 PE. I meant to say only like the cash they will make 200 million, even if the core business makes nothing. Going as a Buffett fan, Jimmy could sit on their hands and continue to hold that, grow their cash pile until they find the right price. Yeah, Summer, exactly. And while we didn't hear much on the Ryan Cohen, not speech, but when they had the annual shareholders meeting, he spoke very briefly. But one of the only things he said and touched on was that we were in unprecedented, and I'm paraphrasing here, we were in an unprecedented time in terms of fiscal and monetary policy. So to me, it sounds like he's saying like, okay, like we're overextended, like I've never seen before. So we're not gonna rush and make any moves. And yeah, like you said, Buffett style, he's just gonna wait. And to me, even if the business can only break even for the time being, like operationally, if they can only break even, this number comes in at zero every time. Like you said, this interest income is going to be about $50 million, right? Because these are in millions. It's going to be roughly at the current interest rate. They're going to be able to earn roughly $50 million a quarter in terms of interest income. So they raised the capital in Q2. So I don't know if it's gonna be like the full 50 million in interest income for this quarter because they just got it, but I would bet you for Q3 it's gonna be really close to 50 million in interest income, if not more than 50. So, like you said, I agree with that analysis, right? Because if you just take like a 5% rate on $4 billion, that's roughly $200 million a year. Although the X factor is that if the Fed cuts rates and they have money in accounts like a money market account, short-term treasuries, then that could impact things because marketable securities, right? And at this point in time, at the time of reporting, they only had 83 million, whereas the previous quarter they had 253 million. So marketable securities, sometimes they have it in cash equivalents, sometimes marketable securities. I mean, it's obviously always a little bit of both, but how much of it is in marketable securities? Marketable securities are, and because they're under current assets, it's less than 1 year, but marketable securities are more than 3 months. So a treasury bill that's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or even 12 months, right? Because it's just under a year, would fall in this category, whereas a 1 month treasury bill or a money market account is a cash equivalent. Cash equivalent, by definition, is something that matures in less than 3 months. So just something to keep in mind there. So if a lot of it is in cash equivalents, interest rates getting cut, sure, that's going to hurt them a little bit. But I mean, it hurts them a little bit in the sense of the interest income. But then you think about it, ideally that should boost the economy, right? The purpose of the Fed cutting rates is to like boost economy and consumer spending, and just also makes higher risk investments more appetizing because you have a lower risk free rate. So those factors should kind of counteract and hopefully help the business as a whole. But again, that's just all food for thought. They're all food for thought. Hello, everyone in Tetron. Chad, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Wendy, hello, hello. What's up? I initially started buying Jamie for a squeeze years ago, but I stayed because I learned as you're stating now, Tetron. Yeah, Chad, exactly, man, exactly. It's a good investment. Look at its cash position, its non-existent debt load, factor in its leadership in their work towards the footprint reduction and willingness to cut costs. It's obvious they're doing all the right things to grow a long-term profitable company. Chad, I couldn't agree more. And I will definitely say, like in the beginning, I was just dabbling in it, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a quick play. But the more and more I learned, and as time went on, I really started to see it as a long-term investment too, and just keep learning about it and understanding. And at this point, like I truly know what I have, and I understand. Like, and I'm not afraid to say this. That like, there's always a chance, right? Or you, not afraid, but you have to like be. Let me put this. Not human enough, but you have to have the humility. Maybe that's the right word to have the idea that like there's that small fraction of a chance it doesn't work out. That GameStop never succeeds, right? There's always that small chance, but the factors you mentioned, the strong leadership, strong balance sheet, non-existent debt, and their work ethic, and also focus on closing unprofitable stores and getting into private label stuff, like doing all these little things right, really makes me believe that they are going to be fine in the long term, right? And then that's where when you do have doubt, you got to look at what's actually happening, such as those factors. But my point being, you can be like people will be like, oh, you're so confident in GameStop. What if it doesn't work out? But okay, yeah, I admit there's a small profitability, small possibility, but I certainly don't see that being the case. I absolutely do not. Otherwise, I wouldn't put my money in, right? And of course, speaking for myself here, no financial advice, but I'm just saying like people if want to argue with you about it, like okay, sure, wait and see. But the idea of it going bankrupt anytime soon is literally impossible. Like anytime remotely soon is actually impossible given the strength of their balance sheet, unless they start spending money in a ridiculous way all of a sudden, or they make some horrendous acquisition where they use like all of their cash and it just doesn't work out at all. Right? Those are the only like short-term risk factors. Otherwise, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Right? They're here to stay. So I don't know, kind of rambly there. But point being, you should be open to like all ideas or just let people say whatever they want to say and just know for yourself like how you feel about GameStop. But Susan Trinbath, one more time, then I quit. I call it what you want. Phantom could never be counterfeited because there was never a share. Huge difference. So she's saying it's not counterfeit shares, it's Phantom shares because there never was shares. And the DTCC is all Phantom shares. The industry prefers counterfeit because you'll never be able to prove it. There's no certificate. What we have in finance shouldn't be called a market. That would require balancing supply and demand for price discovery. Not possible when allowing settlement fails plus shorts and loans without due dates. Failure delivers phantom share. So just food for thought there. I haven't looked at her stuff in a while. Just looked today real quick. Thought I'd see what's going on. Can you please go over what is the price to sales? Thanks. Yeah, so Sommer, price to sales is just price to sales, right? Like what it says. So it's like the market capitalization to the amount they have in sales, right? So you can briefly look at it on Yahoo Finance. Let's look at it right now. It should be, see, 1.55. So their price, right, market cap divided by their current sales. So their sale, or see, this number isn't exactly right because if it's their price, right, market cap, 10.64 billion, and we'll just use their last year numbers. So right here, I'm looking for 5.27. We'll just say. So right now their price to sales is 2. So their price, right, is the market capitalization divided by that, and you could break it down by share as well. And then Larry Chang had a LinkedIn post. So it says he's been talking a lot about consistently recently, like be consistent about building competitive advantage. Simple actions, when applied, consistently compound in their competitive advantage over time. Over longer periods of time, they can create a significant competitive separation. You can't think the same way as everyone else, do the same things as everyone else with the exact same frequency as everyone else, and expect differentiated results. This kind of goes back to his post the other day on X about agreeing to disagree, or that's how I put it in a nutshell, at least. And if you're not actively engaged in building competitive advantage, then you're likely passively engaged in losing competitive advantage. It doesn't take heroic talent or supernatural skill to build competitive advantage. It simply takes consistency in activities that create a competitive advantage that compounds in their benefit when applied over time. Be consistent about building competitive advantage. So, where GameStop can gain a competitive advantage, in my opinion, is really with private label brands. Like if they're able to get CandyCon to be sold for PlayStations, Xbox as well, I think that would be huge. And then expanding with more partnerships, more of what they're doing with that Disney sort of partnership with the faceplate and the game coming out. Was it like something Mickey? I already forgot the name and I exited out already, unfortunately. But I want to see them do more things to that effect. And then there's just a random chart. Someone started posting this, like the implied volatility. And this is what I was talking about. I've been posting recently how IV is still relatively high on GameStop. So since it started running, I would say as it really the start of May, it's kind of been since the craziness started, and then obviously the 2 rounds of share issuances. But if you look at the dark green line, which is the implied volatility, it still really hasn't got back to this level that it was when things were really boring, you could say, for a while. And with that being the case, I still feel like selling options here makes more sense than buying. And again, generally speaking, implied volatility, you want to look at, when implied volatility is higher, you want to sell options. When implied volatility is lower, you want to buy options, right? So again, just food for thought there. Decide what you want to do. And then obviously the price of the stock definitely matters in terms of the strike of the option as well, but that's just a general rule of thumb. But just shows you how it could still come down more. Like if the stock just, even if the stock just trades sideways for the next 2 months, IV will come down. And then maybe just trades between like in the mid 20s, right? As high as 28, as low as 22, something to that effect. That could drop IV off. And then I saw this. Supposedly, options flow from hedge funds on July 22nd is bullish sentiment. Put the call ratio of 0.138. So a lot of call volume versus very limited put volume. So that's the flow, as they call it. But I always take that with a grain of salt too, because every time there's big trades like that, like there's an option buyer and there's an option seller. So all just food for thought. And then on AMC, shout out to Badass Trader. I think he makes a great point here. And there's no, like it's not a personal vendetta I have against popcorn or AMC. It's just very simply that they have consistently screwed over their shareholders. There's just no doubt about that. They've consistently screwed their shareholders over. And with that, I think this post is worth reading. AMC was so messed up by the toxic debt from Adam Aaron, loaded up the company prior to the pandemic, that now he's had to refinance 2026 loans to extend them out to 2029. But in order to do that, he's agreed to make them exchangeable notes up to 128 million shares, meaning more dilution for shareholders with no financial benefit of the company and potential of a debt spiral. And icing on the cake, they have to give away 175 theaters of all the 19.5% of all their theaters to a subsidiary called Movco. Wasn't that brand part of the Carmiki acquisition? See, this is where it lost me. I don't know that much off the top of my head, but basically, see Adam Aaron. Oh, amazing, stunningly good AMC news. We successfully refinanced 1.6 billion of debt with a plan for up to 850 million or more. Was due to be repaid starting in 21 months. Now maturity dates extended to 2029 and 2030. We get years of added breathing room to build, grow, and strengthen AMC. So while this is good, they'll be in existence longer. It's good in that sense, but they're just kicking the can down the road. They're doing exactly what the U.S. is doing with the government debt. Just kick the can down the road. Print more money. Well, they're not going to print money, right? Unless something dramatically changed with their business. But basically, pay off old debt with more debt in the future. Like, create more debt in the future to pay down the debt now. Same type of thing. So, with that, yeah, they'll be around to 2029, 2030, which is nice because for movie theaters, like I don't want movie theaters to go away, to be perfectly clear, but they just run things so poorly and they're driving the company into the ground and shareholders are getting burned. And that's why I hate the correlation of AMC and GME just saying, oh, they move the same, oh, they're in the same basket. Okay, fine, all of that, but I don't like what their management team has done. That is what annoys me. So, again, you can do whatever you want at the end of the day. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I just wanted to share that because I thought it was well written. And then Roaring Kitty, right? We haven't heard from him in a while. This is his last post. He suddenly buys Chewy. We didn't get a disclosure of him selling it, so allegedly he still owns it, right? Or I don't know if I should say allegedly. I guess he has to still own it, right? And it's weird how the price is kind of moving with GameStop, but like they're also both kind of in the same category, right? Small cap, like retail company, kind of, right? But they're really close in price as of late, right? It almost touched 30 and then dropped down. Then Chewy almost touched, what's that? This time it almost touched only 28 and then dropped down. But then this is the day for GameStop touched 30. And now we're nearly at the same price at the close. So just interesting, the Chewy situation. I haven't thought much about it, and I'm still not interested in Chewy. Like, I only want to hold the GameStop out of the two of those. But, it's worth paying attention to or reading into or trying to understand, but it doesn't mean you have to invest in it, right? And it's funny when he bought it, like, the people, I would say, I guess, the butterflies, or not everyone, the people that are like, all like, oh, ha, got you, GME elitist. We got you. See, he bought shares. He bought shares of another company. Like, I just think like it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants. I can do whatever I want. Like, I don't know why it's this like, oh, see, there's this super triple mega merger that's gonna happen now. Like, to me, that's not the indication in any which way. But there's the other theories where it's like Ron Kitty was posting this to like call Ryan Cohen's attention, like dump, 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 and then that's why he treated like Trump, 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 like that was his post, responding to Roaring Kitty. Maybe, I don't know, but it's hard to say, right? It's always hard to say with all the cryptic stuff. Like, it's fun to speculate on it, but I try not to think too hard about it because, like, I like to speculate on it a little bit, but I try not to like drive myself crazy with it because you don't really know, right? That's the reality of it. You just don't really know. So June 27th was his last post. We're coming up on a month, by the way. June 27th was my birthday, so maybe he thought, you know what, and Tetron's honor. No, I'm just kidding. But the one before that was June 17th, two on June 17th, right? This one was at 1:10 p.m. This one's at 3 p.m. He like always schedules them or posts them at like a pretty exact time. But these, so two in that day, one on June 13th, right? June 12th. This was a good one, right? This was absolutely hilarious. Might be my masterpiece. And this is when he trolled like CNBC. Like, this is the funniest thing. Roaring Kitty's live stream started. Not much going on here. And then this, people are saying he's going to join the board when he posted this. Options basics. You were a billionaire because people were saying how he had 1 billion shares. And then this is from the Joker. Like, it's not about the money, it's about sending a message. But yeah, again, fun to speculate on, but all of a sudden, not much, not much. And I find it interesting. He keeps his pinned tweet. He hasn't changed that, right? So think what you want with that as well. And then Larry Chang just straight up gives Ryan Cohen a shout out here. If you guys saw this, I was thinking, how many public company CEOs literally in history have taken zero salary, zero bonus, zero shares and options granted. Not a single dollar in wages, not a single share of stock, not a single option, nothing. Not Jobs, Ellison, Buffett, Musk. It may be only one. And that's kind of what makes the story that much more epic. Like, he's right. There literally has been no other CEO in history. Yeah, sure. Some have been only compensated in stock and only been rewarded because what they've led has turned out successful in terms of that company. And I definitely respect that. But has there ever been a situation with no salary, no bonus, no share incentives, right? If this happens, then you get this many shares. Nothing like that by the person that's chairman, CEO, and 10% owner of the company. Remarkable. And it's because he owns so many shares. Like, really, the work is, like, he technically works for free, but if GameStop succeeds very much so, then he will certainly reap the benefits. And when I think about the idea of Ryan Cohen holding, like, at what point does he potentially sell in the future? Let's say a situation, the company's thriving, doing very well in the 20, let's say it's the year 2030. It's done an amazing turnaround. They're investing in alternative assets. They're kind of going like the Berkshire Hathaway route. They start acquiring other things at extreme discounts, maintaining a strong balance sheet. All these different things are rocking and rolling. Does he sell shares, or does he want to just keep holding and operating what he's building? And then if you don't have to sell shares, but you can make money eventually by what you're doing from his perspective, right? By issuing a dividend, and all shareholders get rewarded. Himself as a shareholder is rewarded. So part of me thinks like GameStop will do dividends eventually, but they have to really be grounded, have the core business stabilized, and really have something that's driving them forwards. And then really once they think they've grown a lot and they're like extremely consistently profitable, that's where dividends come into play, where they can distribute those earnings from the company to shareholders. But I think they have a long way to go before they do that. But that's how I see Larry Chang, Ryan Cohen, and all other executives that are being compensated in shares, even like Mark Robinson, like general counsel, to continue to hold their shares if they ultimately get dividends in the future. So I do think dividends in the future is certainly on the table, but they have a long way to go between now and then, and we'll see what happens with that, right? And then I thought this was also interesting from Larry Chang. I always say like businessman by day, wordsmith by night, but he says the top sales rep at a sales, and if you're not familiar with SaaS, it's sales as a service company, shared that after every initial prospect call, he goes back to watch the tape, Zoom recording, to listen again to what prospects said to see if he missed anything. Great example for all reps. The top rep is the most intentional listener. So usually there's a saying that, and I'm no wise man, right? But there's a saying that the loudest one in the room is usually not the wisest one in the room. It's usually the quietest in the room is the most dangerous. Not dangerous like fight, but just most like aware because they're a good listener. And then also how I can relate to this personally is I try and listen to my streams back and think, could I have explained this better? Like, do I understand what I'm saying right now? Trying to scale out and think, I don't know who this person is. I'm listening to their stream. Like, what would I rate the quality? What would I say to make it better? So I listen to my own stuff back, and that's what the greats do, right? And anything, they just keep repeating and learning and wanting to know more. Whether it's with a sport, you have like Kobe Bryant, who's always the hardest working in practice. Like that's always a great example. And then, even like Gretzky in hockey, because I'm a big hockey guy, always wanted to be the best. And like his dad taught him a lot of different things growing up. And he always had that mindset of wanting to be better and look back at what he did. And obviously at that time, you couldn't record, right? But what I saw and Gretzky said in an interview, I don't know how recent this was, but he used to watch the game and he would, as he was watching, he would draw like where the puck went and he would just keep his pen on like wherever the puck went. And the dart, like, and then he would look at the paper like at the end of the period and he'd be like, wow, the puck was like in the corners a ton. So I got to learn to play the corners because that's where my pen was most frequently. So just doing all the little things right, like, goes a long way. And not that this particularly relates to GameStop, but just how the greats go about things. And I'm not saying, oh, I'm the great one because I didn't watch my streams back like Larry Chang says for sales representatives, right? But just thought it was interesting food for thought there. So the strongest sales reps know that selling is about listening. The weaker sales reps know that think that selling is about talking. Hiring people in sales test listening as the primary skill and talking as a secondary skill, not the other way around. And that's true. I'm friends with the sales guys in my job, and I feel like they're all great listeners, honestly, or like really good at like taking in what you have to say and then responding. And it makes sense, right? Now that I read this. So, and even if you're not in sales, like, oh, how does this pertain to me? Everybody is a salesman, right? When you're going for a new job, you're selling yourself. When you're going on a date, like you're selling yourself. So you have to at least be able to sell yourself on a date, on a job interview, sell a business idea. Like if you're a starter, like a startup company, and you're trying to raise capital, you have to sell your business idea, get people to believe in it. Everyone's a salesman, right? In a sense. So sales skills are always helpful, even if you're not like working in sales. So again, just going through a lot of miscellaneous stuff, but no dates, and applied volatility still relatively high compared to 52-week low of 61%. Yeah, good evening, friends. Anthony, what up? What up? Pseudo photography. Ryan Cohen new tweet. Whoa. Oh, I'm glad you told me. Let's see. What do we got here? Thank you for telling me that, and thank you for being here. Kamala 20. See, what's he doing? Yeah, he's just trolling. He's just trolling. Brian, I know. Oh, and Greg, I know. You know, I was planning to run that year. I am changing my vote. Greg 2069. It's kind of funny. Gotta love it. You know what I always wondered? Is this guy, is this actually what he looks like? Is it? I think it is. I don't know though, but it's incredible how big this account has come. So I'll say that. I too will vote Greg 69. Not funny. But yeah, Troll King lives on. I would agree with that. It seems like he's just trolling. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it. No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. No, it's not. It gets the people going, right? That's pretty much any Ryan Cohen tweet. So I don't know what he means here. I should say the Roaring Pika who says, "Quick, someone decode this." How should I say that? Can anyone decode this? Oh my god, yeah. So interesting, right? But damn, he's got so many followers. Actually, 434,000 is quite the number. That is for sure. And pretty much like everyone I follow literally follows him. So, but thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. I did not even know that. And did I even get a notification on my phone? I mean, let's see. Yeah, I did get it. Okay. I'm changing my vote. Greg 2069. Damn, that guy Greg gets replies from everybody. I swear. It's so funny. It's just like this goofy account is like the biggest one on X. But oh man, I don't know. Again, I don't know what to think of. Suddenly he's like tweeting all this political stuff. Does it mean something? Does it mean something? I don't know. Is he just trolling around? Is he just having fun? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's like these kind of hidden messages, but also part of me thinks like he's just doing what Twitter's meant to do. Like, just post whatever you think, whatever random idea comes up, that whatever thing you think is funny, let people interpret it however you want. And I remember I saw a picture or a meme rather, like a while back, right? Which I thought was really funny because it's like how everyone was trying to start decoding his tweets. And this one was so random, right? Like, what did this mean? Like, he just posted a picture with, why is his name switching my mind? Warren Icon? No, not Warren. Because people post that stupid thing. Carl Icon. Carl Icon. I don't know why that slipped, right? Some people are saying, is this in hindsight, like, keep your friends close, keep your enemy closer? Because he was shorting GameStop, and he was basically saying, like, you don't want to keep that position. I don't know, something to that effect. Or was he just getting perspective because Carl Icahn is known as a corporate raider, or just basically known to take over companies, or just really forced him to do what he wants to do in the nicest way possible, or just basically with his money. But I don't know, that's a whole thing in itself. I'm blabbing there, but this is the one that cracks me up. Like, someone made a meme about it, I remember, from all these years ago. And this is always good. Ew, I stepped in shit, BCG. And then when he was posting the face swaps, people were saying, is it in the swaps? The shares? That's what he's trying to indicate. Like, it's in the swaps because he's doing face swaps, and he would like repost some of those. And the fact he reposted someone like that, that is actually hilarious, right? And so yeah, they do remove likes. I just realized that because I definitely liked all of these, but interesting. And this was a long time ago. Obviously, the whole BBY saga. So people are saying, is it in the swaps with the faces? I don't know, but really what I'm trying to get to here is this picture. OG one, right? July 19, 2021. And then also in the Larry Chang interview, I don't know whose interview it was, but he basically said, like, a lot of people analyze our tweets. I saw the clip before, but I wish people wouldn't look so in depthly or try and decode it. Like, a lot of times it's not as deep as it seems. Said something to that effect. And that could be this, right? Like, maybe Ryan Cohen's like, I'm just gonna have fun and post like PG-13, like I'm gonna do some goofy shit. Like, I'm just gonna put like chopsticks up my nose. And then people were like saying, or the meme was, bro, and he's saying to like his friend at lunch, Ryan's like, yeah, dude, it's crazy. No matter, literally, I could post anything and people will start trying to decode it. No way. Stick two chopsticks up your nose right now and put PG-13 as the caption. Okay. And then it's like everybody trying to decode it after. Like, maybe it's just that, right? I don't know. But at the same time, people say calm poo chair. That was the thing with that. And then another face swap. Another face swap here, right? Which is pretty funny. This one's like just a classic one, right? So funny. He's like this big tough guy getting all the ladies. And then here, fighting an uphill battle, I guess. And then Dr. Root's Sex for Dummies, DRS. That was the idea. A lot of different ideas, right? Taking a dump in the metaverse. What does that mean? Again, I think that one's just for fun. I don't know. I don't know. It's fun to look back though sometimes and think, what was he thinking? And now all of a sudden he's just like Trump 2024, right after the assassination attempt. Trump, 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 like a million times. People counted it. Oh, it means this, it means that. And now Kamala 2069. How will people decode it? I don't know. Let's see if anyone has anything. My notifications didn't even hit. Anyway, can someone decode this? Yeah, see, that's what I was going to say. Let's see. He wants to say. Oh my god. Mine just hit 6 minutes late. I just muted these words. He left out 4, 420, 69. 2 plus 0 plus 6 plus 9, 17. Bruh, come on. See, this is like too much extension. Is massive. Nothing to decode. None of mine. I don't know. A tweet about 29 for debt. Both had years. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think anyone has in yet. If anything, it'll happen later on. So, in terms of it, something being decoded, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting. But yeah, I think now's probably a good time to transition over to talking a little bit about the. Well, first I'll talk about a little compound interest, just a little quick macro aspect, and then I'm going to go into Ethereum. So compound interest, who will earn more? I just saw this as I was getting ready and I thought it was a good tweet. This is an example shows how the earlier person takes advantage of compound interest, more time has more money to grow. Because I know people in my job, a little bit older than me, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to do my 401k. I'm not going to start. And I'm like, you got to start now. Like it starts accumulating, they start matching, and like do it even if you can only do a little bit. Like you got to start. Like it's so important. And this chart really just shows the whole picture. So investor one is in the blue, and investor two is in the orange. And excuse me, investor one starts at age 25. Investor two starts at age 35. So there's a 10-year gap in terms of when they start investing. But here's the catch. Investor one sets aside $5,000 a year for 10 years in a row. And then they make no more investments after age 34. And they just let it keep compounding and reinvesting all the interest. Or if it's just the S&P, for example, then it would just reinvest the dividends into the S&P. Whereas investor two starts at age 35, invests 5,000 each year for 30 years in a row until reaching age 65. And yet they still equate to less than investor one. So it just goes to show how investing early can scale so much on a long-term basis. So the earlier you start, the better. And even if you can only start small, it goes such a long way in the long term of things and just scaling your retirement account as a whole. And that's just food for thought, completely outside of GameStop, and just understanding the importance of compound interest and investing. And whether you choose to invest in more than GameStop, that's up to you. Whether you like to apply this to a personal account and a retirement account, or just a retirement account, again, that's up to you. And just food for thought: traditional versus Roth. Traditional, if you have a traditional IRA or pre-tax retirement account, yes, you get to write off the taxes now. That's great, but then you have to pay taxes on the distributions to yourself in the future. So if you grow your money a lot, you pay taxes. You get to write off the taxes on the way in, but on the way out, you have to keep getting taxed on the money and gets taxed as income. Whereas with a Roth IRA, you don't get to write it off and it goes into a post-tax account. But when you take it out when you retire, there's no taxes. So if you put in 10,000 and by the time you retire, it's worth 70,000, now you pay taxes on $10,000 worth of income and you can withdraw 70,000 tax free. Whereas on the other side, if you put in 10,000 into a traditional IRA over a few year period, you can write off, let's say you do $1,000 per year for 10 years. You can write off $1,000 each year in terms of your income, but then that 10,000, if it turns to 70,000 by the time you retire, then you take that out and then you have to pay taxes on it, and you get taxed as income. So again, just food for thought there. Just last week, I said on Superstar, watch him tweet another candidate named soon. He is an equal opportunity offender, and today it came true. Anthony, hey, you called it, man. I mean, I could see that, right? And it seems like he's still kind of trolling. It says 2069, like that's just random. But I love that the guy Greg responded. He said, I'm changing my vote. Greg 2069. Yeah, it kind of goes into your point, though, Anthony, that it's like he's kind of just trolling around with it, right? And he's just posting whatever. And so, oh, he's this, he's that. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep worrying about GameStop. But Ethereum ETFs have arrived. So they're supposed to start trading tomorrow, right? All systems to go live tomorrow morning. We'll have the first Ethereum spot ETFs coming out. Bitwise is one of them. There is 9 altogether. Their much celebrated arrival marks another important milestone for crypto and expanding access to diversifying our crypto economy. Here's why. That's what Coinbase says, not me. For investors, spot Ethereum ETFs provide access to a differentiated crypto asset with unique return characteristics. The Ethereum ecosystem is both robust with 50 million plus monthly active addresses and expanding rapidly with 300% in smart contracts deployed in 2023. So 52 million Americans have owned crypto, 8 trillion in the US ETF industry, 60 billion in the Bitcoin ETF total assets under management right now. It's getting bigger. Total value locked in on Ethereum blockchain, pretty much as much as the Bitcoin spot ETFs. 14.5 million active Ethereum addresses. That's a lot. That's actually more than I realized. 254 million smart contracts created in 2023. So smart contracts are becoming more and more part of the Ethereum ecosystem. Is basically just contracts that are put in. You don't need a middleman. It's just simply the network that executes upon it through proof of stake. And then 3.5 thousand ETFs total in the US, 50 million households invest in ETFs. 17 crypto ETFs powered by Coinbase. Interesting. I don't know too much about that, but 2.4 trillion total crypto market cap right now. I would expect that to continue going up, although large majority of it is Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then Solana is like the third one. And I wonder if we're going to get Solana next. That's the first thing that comes to my mind in terms of other ETFs, or does it kind of stop here? Solana seems interesting with the proof of history concept, but I haven't quite been able to wrap my head around it yet. So if those of you that are wondering, I do own crypto. I would say about 90% Bitcoin, and then another 9% in Ethereum, and then 1% Loopring. That's pretty much my crypto ownership. But I have more GameStop than all crypto combined. I will say that. So then over here, it says spot ETFs will help catalyze further growth and innovation, expand size and breadth of what is that? Breedth of crypto markets. I don't know if I've ever seen that word. But Coinbase is proud to be a trusted partner and custodian, powering 10 of 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs and 8 of the 9 newly approved Ethereum ETFs. So I want to point something out here. I find this very concerning because while, yes, Coinbase is the most major player in the crypto brokerage space, number one, the best way to own crypto, if you want to own it, is in a cold wallet. I do have a cold wallet, and that's where I own majority of my Bitcoin and Ethereum. Any Bitcoin or Ethereum I don't hold on my cold wallet, I don't anticipate holding for a super long-term basis. I anticipate selling in what I believe is an uptrend cycle right now. But at the same time, if it doesn't play out that way very fast, I'm down to hold it. But anything on my cold drive or cold storage, I don't want to touch for literally decades to come. And I just want to hold it as an alternative asset, or hodl it, as they say. But what I find concerning is when Coinbase can basically bottleneck the industry in the sense like, okay, well, you have to come through us to use the ETFs, right? 10 of 11 Bitcoin, 8 of the 9 Ethereum. So if I had to guess, there's probably one ETF that is available for Bitcoin, and now they're going to offer Ethereum. And that one ETF, probably the same provider, isn't using Coinbase, but what are they using? That's a good question for me to solve. Let me see. One ETF, Bitcoin, Ethereum, that does not use Coinbase. With a track record of 12 plus years safekeeping digital assets at scale, Coinbase has developed a leading institutional grade custody solution and will continue to maintain its company wide approach of being the safest, easiest, most trusted bridge to the crypto economy. We'll see. We'll see. At the end of the day, I think no matter how much you believe in a platform, everyone thought FTX was legit, right? Look what happened there. And obviously, Coinbase isn't the exact same story, but the amount of backing from large names that FTX had was crazy. Like Tom Brady and I think even Steph Curry, right? There's huge names. Like I feel like everybody was partnered with FTX. Literally everybody. Meanwhile, they're all partnered with nothing, something that didn't even exist. Just numbers on a screen, right? Kind of like the stock market. It's all just numbers on a screen, numbers in your account. But it is exciting for the ETFs in the sense it gives people more access, like people who might have been willing to dabble in a little bit. Now, all right, I'll pick up a couple shares of this ETF and just let it ride, see what happens, right? And maybe even retirement accounts. Like there are ways to own crypto directly with retirement account called like a self-directed IRA, but it's more of a complex process. Someone wants to have a very small exposure to Bitcoin. Maybe they think, okay, like I'm gonna make 0.5% of my IRA, right? Like 1/200th of my whole IRA, I'm gonna put it in Bitcoin and let it ride as an alternative asset. Or maybe someone has their IRA consistent of 3% gold. They go, okay, I'm gonna sell the 0.5% gold and then put 0.5% into Bitcoin, and then, or sorry, let's say they sell 1% of gold, and then they put 0.5% into a Bitcoin ETF, 0.5% to Ethereum ETF. It kind of just opens up opportunity, but when Coinbase is backing them all, custodying all of them, like to me that just seems concerning. Like God forbid Coinbase goes under a major hack or something to that effect. What could happen? I don't know. We'll have to see. But Kamala 2069, Libtron, you voted, Mike Libtron. Well, yeah, no, like I've said in the past, I'll say it again. I prefer to be apolitical. Like I try to not even pay attention to stuff. It's hard not to in today's world. It's just all annoying. But I just prefer not to talk about it on this channel because at the end of the day, everyone's going to think what they want. What I say is not going to sway it in any which way, and I'm by no means any expert on any of that stuff. So to me, I prefer to just keep it apolitical on this channel because it's also just not what I'm interested in talking in, right? So I want to talk about stocks and economics, and sure, I'll talk about the possibility of like depending like who's the candidate, right? Of what might be the impact on the markets. Like I do think generally speaking, it's probably more bullish for the markets if Trump wins, generally speaking. But then there are other factors of him being tougher on like uh, semiconductor like imports and things to that effect, right? I don't know all the details about it, but point is, it won't always be that simple. Then there's other factors, right? So we'll see, right? We'll see. But JK, bro, much love. Nah, you're good, man. You're good. I figure you're probably just messing around, but it's all good, man. I can take it. So yeah, it's just one of those. I don't know what he's tweeting, man. Like, I don't know what is there messages here? Is he just trolling around? I don't know. Like, I don't really think too much of it though. That's the thing. Like, like I was saying a little bit before, like I don't read too deep into the tweets because like you don't truly know. Like, you don't truly know, right? Like, I'd rather read deep into something like Larry Chang's share ownership. I was able to break it down. Like, these are all of his purchases, right? He's made one, two, three, four, five, six different share purchases from 2022 to 2024. He also was awarded shares for being a board member for 3 consecutive years. He's not awarded this year, and he won't be from here on out, from what I understand. And then he purchased a total of 46,140 shares from 2022 on with his own money, and then he um, accumulated 19,860 shares. But did you know he acquired 12,000 shares pre June 2021? Because when he was awarded these initial shares, this 4,088 shares, he disclosed having 12,000 already. And I was like, wait, what? Because he had already acquired and it was split adjusted, right? So he really only was awarded 1,044 shares and he only bought 3,000 shares at that time. But then it split. So these numbers are split adjusted. But it was revealed once he was awarded the shares and became on the board, he filed a Form 3, which is initial offering. Form 4 is, or not offering, initial ownership. Form 4 is updated ownership filing. So his Form 3 revealed he was awarded the shares, but it revealed he already had 12,000 shares. You might have thought, well, why didn't the Form 3 come out when he initially had purchased those shares? The reason is he wasn't a board member at the time, so he wasn't required to disclose purchasing those shares because it didn't make him a 10% owner. But once he became a board member and was awarded shares, that's where the Form 3 comes out, shows he got awarded shares. And then on top of it, it's like, oh, he actually already had 12,000 shares. But that brings his grand total to 78,000 shares. He has 78,000 shares total. 58,000 of them he bought with his own money. So, again, just food for thought there. And if you're not familiar, Larry Chang, part of Volition Capital, really the first major investor into Chewy and believed in them when nobody else did, and it paid off very nicely for Volition Capital in the long run. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there for today. I feel like I don't know, it's so hard to, it's so much harder than I thought than to get back in the swing of things. I feel like I had good momentum when I left from my vacation with the streams and everything, and I know I'll get it back. I know I'll get it back. I got to be patient, but even just like I wrote a bunch of posts since I came back. I wrote posts before I left. Uh, Things pop up, right? Dry cleaning my stupid suit from the wedding, right? I forgot to pick that up today. I'm literally just remembering right now. I brought it last week. I have another wedding this Saturday. I gotta bring. I mean, I shouldn't complain, right? I'm happy. I'm blessed. But point being, like, it's so hard to like focus in this world. You know what I mean? Like I know it all comes down to me in doing so, but it's just like there's information everywhere, like, and just papers everywhere, right? Like there's papers, you go on your phone, you get a notification, all of a sudden you're all over the place clicking over and it's just so hard to like keep track of everything and organize it and just stay the course, right? Like I know what I have to do over time to succeed and drive Tetron forwards, and no matter how much I know, it's still always going to be a challenge. That's what I'm realizing. So, but again, I'll say it one more time. Actually, I'll read my whole tweet here. No dates, 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 no dates. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna read them all, but never trust hype dates for GameStop stock. Of course, not financial advice. Not financial advice. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. I am going to be doing a giveaway next week. I think I'm going to do it next week. Last week I said I was going to do it this week. Then this, like I already said on my YouTube, like post, like posting the schedules for the stream, that I'm not going to do it this week. I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it Monday. I'm going to do it Monday the 29th. So stay tuned for that. And we're writing that down so it gets done. Monday the 29th giveaway. It's going to be the first of many, hopefully, because honestly, I want to build into a system where I can do giveaways, mostly GameStop cards, but maybe gift cards, maybe some Bitcoin or Ethereum at some point or another. I don't know about that, but even I would like to do one day just like a Visa card, just so somebody could go use it on literally anything they want, and just for being part of my journey and helping me grow and get monetized. And I don't make like ridiculous amount, but I just want to give back a little bit because you guys are awesome here. And this channel is nothing, Tetron is nothing without the amazing people I've met along the way that watch the channel, follow me on X. I appreciate you all, and I get it, not everyone's gonna be able to make every stream, watch every video, see everything I do, but any love you show at all, I'm greatly appreciative. You just drop a couple likes, even you see it, you engage, you comment once in a while, or whatever the case. Even if you just read it, right? If you just see it, I appreciate that. And even if you hate me, right? You're still reading it. You're still reading it. I still appreciate it. So yeah, I'll leave it there for today. And I really want to keep writing long form posts. So if you don't already, follow me on X see, look, I just lost a follower in real time. Someone's, I've had enough of here. I've had enough of this guy. I'm unfollowing because I swear it just said 1,777, but that's all right. That's all right. It's totally fine. So, but yeah, I want to keep writing long form articles like this to kind of inform people. And then if you want to see other long form stuff I've done in the past, if you go to my highlights tab, I know I had this one, the highlights too, but just some of my best posts that I really like people to see, or that I think is worth looking back on, right? Instead of going through my whole feed. So these are a lot of numbers visualized, and this is my biggest post ever. Just Andrew left on CBC talking about Roaring Kitties games on live stream. He was not a happy camper in the moment. That was such a good live reaction too. I remember I paused my TV, I watched the Roaring Kitties stream live, And then I when it was done, I went and unpaused the TV and I was like, "Oh, Andrew laughs on here. This is gonna be even better than I thought," and I just recorded it. And I haven't checked on this in a while, the Berkshire volume. See, this is also why I go back on my own stuff sometimes because I want to look back and see like what's going on. So yeah, and I appreciate some of these. You guys have shown so much love, and I'm so greatly appreciative of that. So just keep working to improve, and I'll leave it there for today. Yeah, so appreciate you guys very, very much. I gotta generate more fancy AI images though, like these ones. These are so cool. I love the bull versus bear ones I made a while back, but it took me a while to get to where I wanted with those. So thanks again, guys. I hope everyone has a fantastic night. Stay tuned. Follow me on X for a lot of updates, and we'll go from there. But